Hey there, and welcome back to Recap Mania. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Invisible Boy. In a quiet seaside town, 13-year-old Michele longs for the attention of his classmate Stella. Unpopular and unnoticed, he becomes invisible to her. At a costume party while getting bullied, he uncovers his ability to vanish. Discovering family secrets, his mundane life turns into a thrilling adventure. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In a dimly lit room, a man sits hunched over, his fingers gliding across the rough wall, sketching the intricate details of the harbor of Trieste. A weary staff member observing the man's exhaustion approaches his boss, Biondo, pleading for a break on his behalf. Ignoring the plea, the man, lost in his thoughts, murmurs that the elusive child they seek resides somewhere within the city. Overwhelmed by fatigue, the artist's strength gives way, and he collapses, succumbing to unconsciousness. In the meantime, Michele pedals past the familiar harbor and reaches a costume shop, hoping to purchase a Spider-Man costume. Disappointed by its closure, he plans to return later. At school, he conceals his money in his sock before attending class. There, he surreptitiously films his crush, Stella, but is caught by the vigilant teacher who confiscates his phone, urging him to complete his math test. Suddenly, Michele's mother, Giovanna, a policewoman, arrives, announcing the 2-day disappearance of their classmate, Martino. She requests their help in persuading him to return if spotted. Afterward, Giovanna approaches Michele, discreetly handing him money for his snack. Feeling embarrassed, he avoids eye contact while accepting it. Spotting the bullies, Brando and Ivan taunting him, Michele's nose begins to bleed, leading him to the washroom. When the school bell rings, he seeks refuge in a cubicle, but Brando and Ivan drag him out and steal his money. Michele objects, prompting Ivan to mock him for being fatherless. In response, Michele insults Ivan, triggering a countdown. Sprinting as Ivan shoots him with a paintball gun, Michele trips while onlookers merely watch. Returning home, Michele is greeted by Mario, their dog, and Candela, the housekeeper's daughter. In his room, he confirms his attendance at Stella's Halloween party, moments before Candela enters his room. Paying little attention to her chatter, Michele retrieves money from a box, contemplating its purpose. Undeterred, Michele ventures to an antique store where the vendor presents a suit portraying a renowned superhero. Unimpressed but with limited options, Michele reluctantly accepts. In Giovanna's office, she watches a perplexing farewell message from Martino to his parents. The circumstances puzzle her, as Martino has no apparent familial troubles, having disappeared on the eve of the Math Olympics. At home, Giovanna finds her son sulking on the couch, reluctant to wear his unimpressive costume. She assures him it's unique, but when Michele envisions his father as a superhero, Giovanna evades the topic. Urging him not to disappoint his crush, she convinces him to attend the party. At the gathering, Stella notices Michele, but Brando mocks his costume, claiming it's from China. Surprisingly, Stella reveals she lived there and now loves Trieste for its sea. Brando plays embarrassing videos of Stella filmed by Michele, causing him to panic. Humiliated, Michele seeks refuge in the bathroom, yearning to be invisible. Suddenly, a power outage grants his wish, and he escapes through the window. The next day, Michele awakens in his costume, unaware of his invisible state. Giovanna, unable to see him, notices Mario's odd behavior. Michele leaves a note, pretending to have left early. Alone, he ponders his situation before heading to school. Spotting Stella, he feels embarrassed but musters his courage. Inspired, he strips and enters the school, unaware of a man watching him. During class, he disrupts Ivan's game and cheats on a test. After encountering Brando in the bathroom, he follows Stella into the shower room, where he temporarily becomes visible. Panicked, he freezes, and Stella unveils him to others. Called for the incident, Giovanna offers guidance, noticing Michele's regret. As she receives a call about Brando's disappearance, Michele's nose bleeds, adding to the unfolding mystery. The next day, police psychologist Giorgio assures the students that feeling alienated from loved ones is part of growing up, but running away isn't the solution. Meanwhile, Michele's class taunts him and notices his arms turning transparent. Anxious, he covers it and seeks solace during lunch. Giorgio approaches, but the bell interrupts them. In his room, Michele encounters Candela reading his comics. They speculate about his invisibility and worry about returning to normal. Giorgio suggests voluntary disappearances and Brando's fear of his father. At home, Giovanna searches for Michele while he overhears that he was adopted. Heartbroken, he runs to the swings. Stella, unable to see him, sits beside him, and they bond. They swing together, drawing a smile on the sand. Michele apologizes to Stella in class and visits her while invisible. They share an intimate moment, but he becomes visible and flees. Candela urges honesty. Michele witnesses Stella's abduction and fights the kidnapper, but fails to save her. The authorities are called in and Giovanna reassures Michele that they did their best to save Stella. In a lab, Stella wakes up and is examined, but the commander realizes she's not the one they're looking for. In the morning, Michele finds his washed costume has shrunk and confronts Giovanna, revealing he knows she's not his mother. He runs away as the glass shatters behind her. In the lab, Stella is led into a room with Martino and Brando. At the shore, Michele vents his anger when a blind man named Andrzej approaches him. Andrzej reveals the suit is powerless and that he is Michele's birth father, a special with mind-reading abilities. He explains their background as specials and their escape from division. Andrzej left Michele and Giovanna for his safety. Andrzej senses Michele's resentment and assures him that he'll learn to control his growing powers. To avoid detection, Andrzej uses his mind-reading abilities to erase the fisherman's memory. He then gives Michele a suit that responds to his invisibility and warns him about the division while assuring him of his support. Giovanna and her colleagues arrive, but the fisherman claims not to remember anything. Giorgio offers to drive Michele home, while Giovanna picks up Mario from the vet. In their cell, Stella realizes they were chosen for their talents and devises an escape plan. Back home, Michele notices the bandage on Giorgio's wrist and realizes he's the kidnapper. Frightened, Michele becomes invisible and throws knives at Giorgio before fleeing. However, Giorgio tracks him using flour and captures him. Michele escapes again, this time with the help of Ivan on a motorbike. As they reach an abandoned warehouse, Michele reveals his face to Ivan. Meanwhile, Stella escapes and encounters an elderly man named Artiglio. Michele tells Ivan that Giorgio is the kidnapper and that they need to save their friends. Stella uses the ship's searchlight to create a smiley face, guiding Michele and Ivan toward her. A guard seizes Stella and drags her back inside as the boys arrive. Ivan shoots the control unit, activating the alarm and distracting the guards. Michele sneaks in, while invisible, witnessing Giorgio and Biondo monitoring Andrzej and a now aware Giovanna. When Giorgio investigates the sound of Michele's suit reacting to metal, he finds nothing. Michele sees Biondo returning Stella to her cell and knocks out a passing guard. Holding another guard at gunpoint, he demands the release of his friends. After fleeing them, Michele locks the guards inside. Stella insists on saving Artiglio, believing him to be a prisoner. Michele gives her the gun and turns invisible. Giovanna and Andrzej spot Ivan, allowing Andrzej to locate Michele. Stella leads Michele to Artiglio, but they get trapped. Artiglio reveals his control over Stella and Giorgio. Michele fights the guards but retreats to protect Stella. They escape on a submarine as the ship self-destructs. Artiglio reveals Yelena's survival and the Special's control over the division. Giovanna frees Martino and Brando, but Michele and Stella are gone. The ship explodes as they rush outside. In the safety capsule, Artiglio tells Stella that Michele belongs with the Specials, but this angers him. He launches a mental attack, causing chaos in the submarine. Artiglio, frightened, reveals that Yelena will be disappointed. Michele, believing his mother is dead, escapes to the surface with Stella. As the authorities help the recovering children, Michele discloses his invisibility and exonerates Giorgio. Determined to stop his father, Michele confronts Andrzej, pleading not to erase everyone's memories. Andrzej insists it's for Michele's safety. Curious about Stella's kidnapping, Michele is told it doesn't matter. Outside, Michele shares a heartfelt moment with Stella before Andrzej begins erasing memories. Giovanna is celebrated as the hero, unaware of her involvement, and Candela acknowledges Michele's true bravery, content that his mother receives recognition. Michele bravely approaches Stella, hoping for a fresh start. Unbeknownst to him, the Special's furious general, who possesses invisibility like Michele's mother Yelena, reveals herself to be his real mother. Moreover, Andrzej kept a secret from Michele. When he escaped years ago, he brought 2 children instead of 1. Yelena found Michele's sister in Morocco and devised a new plan. So, with that, this movie recap episode has come to an end here. Let us know if you are intrigued to watch the movie after seeing our recap in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more recaps. Till then, goodbye.